All right, so in the last video, we just did a very, very basic walk cycle, which is literally just like moving the arms up, or sorry, the legs up and down. Let's actually look at like a real human in motion. Okay, so I'm gonna enlarge this video here. Maybe I don't want to move my video out of the way so it's not blocking you. And I want you to watch what happens. Okay, and they have these little things here to help give you ideas. So it's like, notice how this person's head is going up and down. Okay, see how it's like, it goes as low as it kind of in between 1 and 2, right? So this is like an actual human. So it's like, if you look at the legs, when you walk, your one leg comes forward and your body actually drops a little bit, which kind of makes sense because your legs are as far apart as they can be. So let's kind of go through this. It's like, let's start with the feet here. It's like this person's left leg is moving forward, and then it's getting in contact right there. Okay. This is kind of like the lowest point because, then now when he pushes off, he has all of his weight. And so then he's standing with like a nice straight leg here. Okay. And see how tall he is? He's much taller than before. Some other things to notice is his right arm and his right leg are kind of always opposite. When this is back, this is forward. When his right arm is forward, his left leg is back. Okay. So essentially, your the arm that is forward is always equal to the opposite leg. So if his right arm is forward, so is his left leg. If his left arm is forward, then his right leg is. Okay. Also, what's happening here is it's like, okay, so there's this contact right here. And then actually what's happening is you're using this as to sturdy yourself, and then your other leg is pushing off, and then it's passing your other leg as it moves forward. Okay. So we would call this, and we'll show this, this is called this pose right about here. This is what we refer to as a contact pose. It's called that because your character or the person is in contact with the ground right there. And then another basic pose is this, where the leg that's moving forward is passing the leg that is currently supporting the body. And because in this case, this person is pushing off of this leg is pretty straight. So that makes him actually a little bit taller than normal. You can see that he's taller here than right about, in the contact pose, which was like here. See, I was like a little bit shorter, you know? So there's things to think about. Also, and this is from the side view, if you walk in the front, notice how the shoulders kind of go up and down. So it's like, you know, the shoulders are kind of vacillating back and forth. And his head is kind of moving a little bit to the left and to the right. Okay. Let's kind of look at the same thing with this woman here. And so it's going to be a lot of the same thing, where it's like, this is the contact pose. That foot and that foot are touching the ground. And this is her height. And then this is her passing, where this leg is passing. And she's a little bit taller, you can see. Okay. And then this is basically the reverse of it. So when she passes, you know, then this is also a contact pose where this leg is this leg. And then there's reversing on the other side, which would have been, sorry, right about there. Okay. And she has similar issues, or not issues, but similar thing where her shoulders are going up and down while she moves. Okay. Now let's look at that in relationship to like a cartoon. All right. So in a basic walk cycle, there are four main poses. Okay. And I just kind of showed you them in real life. And then we're going to apply those. So one is called a contact pose, which is where the two legs are spread apart, but they're still touching the ground. One is pushing off of the ground, the other is contacting them. And the other is what's called a passing pose. Okay. And then there's reverse contact and reverse passing, which is the same thing, just on the other side of the character. Okay. So when you do these contact, let's talk about the different poses. So a contact pose, the back leg should be fairly straight because it's pushing off of it. Or sorry, the front leg is straight. The back leg has a little bit of a bend because it's literally like pushing off. Like you're literally pushing this to go forward. And like I said, the arms and legs should be opposite of that. So in this case, the right arm is forward, so the right leg is back. The left leg is forward, so the left arm is back. The passing pose is like where the leg is pushing off and it's passing the other leg. This leg should be straight, like we showed in the video. He's a little bit taller than normal because this leg is straight. That's making the character literally a little bit taller. Okay. And then the arms are kind of passing. And then reverse is the same, just in a, so in this case, you could see, in this case, the left leg was back. Now the left leg is forward. Okay. And vice versa. So it looks something like this: contact, passing, reverse contact, reverse passing. Okay. So let's try this out. Actually, before I do that, let's just kind of see some examples in cartoon form. Just to give you some ideas here. So it's like when his legs are apart, that's the contact. Unfortunately, I can't stop these like video because these are just animated GIFs and I can't control the playback. But it's like, you can see it's like, how the legs are opposite of each other. The arms are kind of matching up with the opposite leg, like I showed you. In this case, his arm's a little, there's kind of this is very exaggerated, but it's like, okay, legs and arms are opposite of each other. There's like a contact and a passing pose. So let's try to do this. So I want you guys to open up exercise 2. Okay. And I gave you guys some examples of what it would look like. So this is the contact pose, passing, reverse contact, reverse passing. All right. So I'm literally just going to draw something that kind of matches this. So it's like, all right. And I always say it's probably a good idea to start off with like a stick figure and then kind of work your way in. So it's like, all right, here's that. There's the torso, forward arm, back arm. And then in the contact, like I said, it's like, you're pushing off. So the most important part is to have that, push off part there. Okay. All right, so that's kind of my stick figure. And then I kind of I would probably use that as a reference point to kind of, it's like, all right, so let's start to kind of draw this out. In this case, we don't have to do like an overly complex character. Um, I would say we're going to do what I call like a fleshed out stick figure, which is like, it's not a stick figure, but it's not like a complex character. It's kind of in between. Just like imagine like, instead of sticks, you have like a cylinder, like a can. It's like, it's not like overly complex, but it's not simple. So I'm going to have um, his arms come forward. Probably should have drawn this on another layer, but oh well. C'est la vie. We'll do that with the next pose. So it's like, all right, here's the character. Like I said, we're not going to get like overly complex, but it's like, that's the fist, right? So it's important that you know which is forward and which is backwards. So this arm and back is behind. That's why it's important to have this line and this knot so that we can tell what's in front and what's in back. You know what I mean? I really should have put the stick figure on another layer. We'll do that with the next pose, but hopefully you get the idea. Remember that it should still follow body proportions. So it's like the arm, should get thinner and such. His arm's a little bit off. That should be like maybe more like there. All right. Now, which arm is forward and which arm is back? Well, remember that this arm is forward, so his right leg should be back. This arm is back, so this leg should be back in this case. All right. All right. So, you know, this leg should be forward. So it's like boom. All right. And I'm actually just going to like, let's fill this in a little bit just to make it a little more obvious. So let's put oops, I'm going to close large gaps. Okay. All right. There's the next pose. So I'm actually, like I said, I'm going to make a different layer to kind of work from. All right, so this is going to be the passing pose. This is where the back leg is coming forward. All right, so there's my stick figure. Now let's kind of use that to flesh it out just a little bit. So let's make a new blank keyframe. I might actually turn this layer opacity down. There we go. All right, it's kind of elongated body here. So the arm should come like kind of like there. So I'm just gonna kind of do something like this. Remember, the arm should come in a little bit. All right, so then, this back leg is back. And it's kind of like supporting the weight. So it should be pretty sturdy. And then this leg is forward. And then kind of like that. Kind of shrink, make sure you get the lines right. So let's turn that off. That looks pretty good. Good starting place anyway. All right, and then there we go. I should work on my line weight, to be honest, but hey. All right, so this back leg should be gray. So let's make that gray. Oops. There you go. All right. This is the passing pose. So we have and to be honest, I got to go back and fix lines. Like, as you can see, like these lines need to be a little thicker to match. So on and so on. Now, what I could do here, so we got that. Now, if you look at the next, it's really just the reverse of the original contact pose. If you look, it's like, basically it's the same pose. You're just basically swapping you know, the back arm was back and now it's forward and everything's basically reversed. I could redraw that, I could draw another stick figure like I did. Maybe try to like create a key, like I did before, just kind of like create a kind of a stick figure. I could do that, but to be honest, I already have a drawing. We already have this drawing. So what I might actually do is like, I'm just actually going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste that into the third one. And then you just basically just have to reverse everything. So this arm should be in the back and this arm should be forward. Like this is like the one facing the camera. This is the one facing away from the camera. So essentially, if I came in here and I basically did something like this, and then we open this up, that's kind of what you need to do here. Now I should change which arm is forward and back. So this is forward. This one is now the one that's in back. So I'm just going to draw that in like that. And then the same for the legs, where it's like this leg would now be the one that's forward. This would be the one that's back. So what I'm going to do is do something like that. And okay. All right. I'm going to want this line to be a little bit thicker. There we go. And I'm going to make this the gray. And I'm going to do, let's replace this with white. Oops, not red, but white. Okay. I really should thicken those lines, but say Livy. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, where I'm going to, once again, I'm going to copy this whole image and then paste it in. Also make sure that the height is the same. So you may, yeah, see on that last one, he's a little too low. So let's bring this character up. That's why these reference lines are helpful. Yeah, he's moving forward too much. So we want to know roughly where the character is. This character, I want to bring it actually forward a little bit. And this character, I'm going to bring back a little bit. We kind of like, this is like as far as we really should be. And then I have this. All right. And then once again, this is a reverse in our, so it's a reverse of this. So, this was in front. Now this leg is in front, the straight leg, and the other leg, the bent one, should be in the back. Okay. So once again, I could have done this by hand, but it's just like, why don't we just, So in this case, this leg would actually be like, it would be kind of like this. Okay. And then I'm going to remove this. All right, and so now let's put that in here. So that's the back leg. Oh, I forgot to do this should be, this is kind of the same too, because they're still swinging. And all right, so boom, 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 boom. Now the head's a little too big. I'd go back and fix the head, and things like that, but we don't want the proportions to change too much, the volume. That's person. All right, so I want this to cycle. So what I'm going to do is let's take these and actually, well, okay. So if I was to, let's do a little looping. So loop kind of fits in nicely. So I'm going to play this and it's like, whoa, all right, that's going a little too fast. So why don't we, I'm just using frames to slow this out. Still going really fast, so maybe even on the threes. All right, that looks a little better. All right. So each of these is lasting about 3 frames long. I'm going to copy this range, and edit timeline, copy frames. And let's zoom out a little bit. And I'm just going to paste them. Paste frames, paste frames, paste frames. Okay. All right, and let me turn off this. So now when we play, there's my walk cycle. Okay. So it's a little more formal than the one we did in the last one. There's still a lot I could do. The character's kind of growing a little bit too much. I don't like that, but hopefully you get the idea. And just like with the last one, if I want to have like a reference point, I'm gonna make another layer here. I'll just call this ground. So once again, let's just draw that line. Use white. Okay. And let's make that rock or whatever. Maybe there's like a, I don't know, mountain this time. Getting bored of drawing the same thing. So there's a mountain. It's got snow on it. Okay. So the mountain's going to move. Let's do a keyframe, and I'm just going to move it slightly. Keyframe, move it slightly. Keyframe, move it slightly. Keyframe, move it. Keyframe. So it's kind of like going off the page. And then the next one, I want it gone. And then actually or you can, yeah, let's just do a regular insert. I'll just move it off the page like to here. Then actually, let's have a reverse back. So like here, and then it goes back the other way. This can give the illusion that our character is walking. And that there's like this camera that's following the character while the character's walking. All right, so let's play that back. Hey, there you go. All right, here's my walk cycle. So here it's like, in addition to getting the poses right, timing is also an issue. So it was going way too fast before. So I added some frames in there to kind of like make the animation more realistic, or not realistic, but timing wise, make it a little better. I also added that background to thing to add a little bit of frame of reference so that it's like, oh, yeah. Otherwise, the character should really start here and the character should walk across the page, which is also another way we could do it. It kind of depends on how you want to frame the shot. Okay. So why don't you guys try that out? Try creating a four pose, contact, passing, reverse contact, reverse passing. Okay.